Happy Saturday morning, and joining us here on the Voice of the Blue Ridge, WTON, to share her insights in a little education so that you come in as what do they used to say, an educated consumer is our best customer. She is Cynthia Hash of Find Homes Realty and her Reality of Real Estate program. Good morning, Cynthia. How are you doing?
Doing great, doing great. I hope you're doing well.
Oh yeah, it's
Busy.
crazy weeks, but I've had dull weeks and they're never as much fun. So,
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, speaking of not much fun is being out of a job right now, right?
do you
And
know something I don't know?
well, you and I are employed
Oh, okay. I
apparently.
I
So
got worried. I thought my wife had called you and said, "Don't tell Joe," but we have to downsize him. That would hurt a lot. But
yeah, for sure.
uh,
I'm
you
good,
know,
but the government shut down,
yeah.
there's a lot of people that are not working right now,
Hmm.
and that's kind of concerning, right?
And may
Uh,
not be going back to the job they had.
well, the thing is when you have, um, hmm, non-essential personnel,
It's a tough
so
phrase. It's a tough phrase.
yeah, and each day that passes during the shutdown and so forth, and I think that it's just it creates this wave,
Hmm.
of impact that, and we're feeling it in the housing market, but there's ups and downs to it, believe it or not. I mean, you would think there's no such thing as an upside to this, but there might be.
Sure.
So I kind of want to go over it a little bit. But Congress was supposed to pass, all these measures, stopgap spending measures, and all this, and the time has come and gone for that opportunity,
Hmm.
and stubborn people are stubborn people, and this is where I think we have to go back to the founding fathers, and we have to say, you know what? The founding fathers didn't sacrifice our money for us, like the, they were true servants to the American citizens,
Hmm.
and they were putting their own dollars and cents and time
Sure.
and investing and so forth in the government itself. It seems like the complete opposite has happened, where we're finding out that you become a senator, and all of a sudden you're worth multi-millions of dollars.
Just
How
by
does
accident, just
oh how
just happenstance.
Yeah, how did that happen? But the shutdown is hurting the average citizen because of the average citizen's job.
Hmm.
If the shutdown has to happen, let me just ask, is Congress considered non-essential?
I know some of their staff is. There's a level. They've got a level hierarchy, I guess. Almost like the military, where you get to a certain rank and you're not considered non-essential anymore.
Right.
But a lot of them, they needed. Somebody has to go get their coffee and their dry cleaning. They have to multitask. Teasing. I'm
Yeah,
teasing. These
exactly.
kids did not go to Georgetown for nothing.
No,
But
that's true.
so, so you talked about an upside of the government shutdown, especially as it relates to real estate. I can certainly imagine the downside is you might have a lot of people saying, "I got to get out of this house that I can't afford in Northern Virginia," or even, as far as we watched this in the shutdown,
Well, right.
people moving down into this area because they didn't need to be in Washington every day or
Yes.
were
Yes.
encouraged not to be in Washington every day. So they
Right.
bought houses in Albemarle County and Culpeper and Augusta
Exactly.
County because they could easily commute up to DC.
That's exactly right. And I think we also have, and just keep in mind that on this side of the Blue Ridge, on the Charlottesville side of the Blue Ridge, the you have the NGIC,
Oh yeah.
National Ground Intelligence Center,
Hmm.
and Defense Intelligence Agency, and so forth. And that are there's a lot of employed people in those government roles that are not military. They're
Oh sure.
civilians. They're
Yeah.
civilian engineers and things like that. And
Computer
so,
technicians and folks like that.
yeah.
Even beyond that, I mean, people have talked to me about this. Electricians, plumbers. It
Mhm.
kind of comes up in the data center abstract because you may
Mhm.
not work at the data center, but you might have to do the electrical work or the plumbing work or the
Right.
HVAC work. So there's a lot of that too that goes on around government offices like that.
Yes, exactly. And the one good thing about being a National Association of Realtors member is we get to be involved in a certain aspect of the government, and that
Hmm.
is the NAR is one of the largest, or is the largest, I believe, association of its type, and they do call for action letters to the
Hmm.
government, to congressional leadership, and they've already urged them to find a path forward and end the shutdown as soon as possible, whether that be in the continuing resolution or if it's a standalone alone type of extension,
Right.
whatever the case might be. That's what they were, basically begging the government to do. So if you think that National Association of Realtors is, the bad guy, so to speak, uh, over a year ago we had the class action lawsuits and whatnot.
Hmm.
That's not who they are. They actually help home ownership. They really do. And this is one reason is that you got to think about what these lapses, though, in in government shutdown actually really causes. So let's start with the negative, and I'll end with the positive. How's that? Um,
Okay.
s- so during this lapse, you can't get uh, NFIP policies. For example, and we're talking national here, okay? So
Hmm.
national flood insurance programs, you cannot get them. So
Wow.
if you're buying a house and you happen to have a piece of your um, lot or parcel or piece of land, whatever, in a flood zone, and the lender calls for you to have flood insurance, you can't get it.
Wow. So does that hold up the whole purchase process?
It possibly can, yes. Or here's the thing. Let's say you're in the middle of yeah, maybe this is your anniversary and you
Hmm.
have of when you bought your house, and your house does have flood insurance on it, and you know that you have to send that check in. Can't be renewed.
Yeah. Nobody to receive the check. Are there associate? And I'm sure the insurance company doesn't particularly care. But if they go through a government agency to get the funding, as you mentioned, flood insurance is federally
Yes.
regulated.
Mm-hmm.
Can the insurance company at least accept the fact that you couldn't have sent them the check? Is there a way to talk to an insurance company directly and
Not
say,
if they're not answering the phone, right?
I guess, yeah, if it's going through the government, right?
Yeah, if it's going through the government, who knows? So you'd have to talk to your insurance agent about that,
Hmm.
and see if there was, if it, because a lot of times in certain cases, you can talk with the insurance agent, and the insurance agent said, we know what we can take that policy lapse and make it go away.
Hmm.
And so, if because you've paid your bill now because the check was lost in the mail, or I don't know, some
Yeah.
other excuse.
Waiting for the
So,
government to come
hmm
back.
Or we're waiting for the government to not be shut down anymore. So, so what happens in a shutdown? So, since about 1980 or so, there have been, get this, 14 government shutdowns.
I was going to say, it seems like there have been a few.
Yeah, yeah. And with the most recent one, before this one, it lasted for about 34 days. And so, and it looks like we're headed in the wrong direction, right?
Yeah.
But hopefully it won't last for that long. Uh, and and you can go online and get this information if you want to. But so that I think was a partial shutdown, and even just in a partial shutdown because was for 34 days. Lo and behold, it cost the economy about $11 billion. Okay.
In money they couldn't generate because they
Yeah.
couldn't do their stuff.
Well, yeah, yeah. And it was and 3 billion of it, okay, w never was able to be recovered. But I
Mm.
will say this, on the opposite side, and I don't have those figures, but on the opposite side of things, we're saving that money in in not paying those paychecks.
Right, those
Eek.
government employees.
Yeah.
So when it hits a marketplace like this, and you talk about insurance and things like that that have to be dealt with, I mean, I see the potential of people winding up homeless. They've already sold their house in St. Louis. They're moving to Charlottesville.
Mhm.
They can't close the deal because they live near the Rivanna and need flood insurance or whatever. I'm just creating a scenario, and
Or
now,
maybe their loan is a VA loan. Maybe their loan is an FHA loan. Maybe their loan is a USDA loan. There's a lot of government loans out there that's backed by the government. And
hmm.
if you can't get any answers, then the loan officers are it's like their hands are tied behind their back.
Oh yeah. Right, because
Hmm.
they don't want to say no. They want to process the thing. That's their job.
Yeah.
There. What does that do to a realtor? Can a realtor kind of swoop in and help them out? What is the experience with all, 14 of
Yeah.
these shutdowns under your belt? I mean, what does that look like?
Exactly. Well, yes. And so what you would end up having to do is pivot when it comes to what type of loan you're getting. And what that means is, could you get, do you have, but you would have to have more money down because a VA loan is zero down. A USDA loan is zero down. An FHA loan is 3.5% down.
Hmm.
So where are you going to get the money? Are you going to be able to come up with maybe if you talk to so there are loan products that are 3%, 5%,
Hmm.
10%, and 20% that are conventional loans,
Okay.
okay? That you don't have to have the government involved.
Right.
You don't need FHA or USDA or
Bernie
VA.
Mac or all these
So,
different.
but yeah, yeah. And but the problem is if you go to if you do that switch, it's gonna probably delay your closing. And but you're at that point now you're looking for a short-term rental.
Hmm.
Or perhaps you can work out a possession by purchaser agreement because
What's that?
the shutdown. Well, that's when you're trying to purchase a home and something like this happens, or could be just something simple like I really want to close at the same time as the my sale over here. I want to do a
Hmm.
simultaneous closing, but I can't because my family and I need to pack up and move, and we need that extra time. So maybe on the purchase side, they get a possession by purchaser agreement that says they're going to pay a daily rent. And
In
it's
advance.
almost like having, yeah, so you go ahead and pay that. It can it can be included in the closing costs,
Okay.
right inside of the closing costs. So it's creative, and it's there for a reason, and it's actually a good thing. But this is unusual to where now you're having to switch lenders in midstream. And if
Mm,
you're having to switch, now here's the reason why it's really a good idea to use a mortgage broker. And the mortgage, because the mortgage broker is able to get you more wide variety of loan products.
okay.
And that wide variety of loan products is what you're going to need to look at in order to have this uh, government shutdown uh, be uh, resolved in your world,
Right. Yeah.
in
So it's not
in your
hanging you up.
purchase world. Yeah, exactly. Now, if you're a government worker and you're one of the non-essential workers, and the government's shut down, different story.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, yeah, because how long is that going to last, and can you still qualify for the loan? Typically, no. When you've lost your job, you can't qualify for a loan.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the
So,
bank's not going to give you a loan when you don't have an income.
well,
Um,
yeah, exactly. So here's the thing. Uh, about 75% of the survey that NAR did on members on the impact of government shutdowns on our business in the real
mhm.
estate world, about 75% said it had no impact on their current contracts and closings and so forth. Okay.
Interesting.
So, on the other hand, about 11% reported definitely an impact on their current clients, and another 11% said that they reported an impact on potential clients. So,
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess that
uh-huh.
would make sense. They're thinking about it. I'm not going to move now because there's a chance I don't have a job, or I'm not going to upgrade my house because I might lose my job. Do you see some of
Right.
that where people all of a sudden might have been looking for a bigger home that are all of a sudden looking for smaller
Yeah.
homes and things like that?
Yeah, because it kind of makes their thought process pivot
Hmm.
into thinking, well, we were at the top of our budget on this. Should we be?
Hmm.
And then you are uh, starting to doubt if I don't have my government job, what kind of job am I going to be able to get?
Oh, yeah.
That's yeah.
Hadn't even thought about that part.
Hmm. Yeah. So, well, and the thing is that these things, hmm, you got to get Congress to agree. You just gotta. And that's the hardest part is when you got, you're doing button heads here.
Hmm.
And so they have to pass what the appropriations bills and the fiscal year and the budget and all that kind of stuff that goes along with this. And unfortunately, when that fails, these negotiations get wonky, and these spending bills just seem to get worse. But you got to figure out who's on your side, and if you're losing your jobs because you know the other party is saying, "Hey, let's solve, we're trying to solve the entire economy, and we'd like to be able to work this out," and you have the other side that kind of wants to continuously spend. um, that's very difficult because you're never going to end up agreeing to anything,
No.
because you just think completely differently. And smaller government actually actually enhances the American citizen to the point where it's smaller government. They come up with really great ideas. We're
Hmm.
really innovative when we have smaller government.
We are because we're not waiting for someone else to be.
That's right.
You mentioned there's an upside, or there are people who see
Yep.
upsides in the government shutdown. In the few minutes we have, share some of that because I'm curious.
Mhm.
because I have my own thoughts as to what could be a positive from a real estate standpoint in this.
And well, exactly. So the positive end of things is really something that if you think about this, the interest rates, right? People have been whining about the interest rates for quite some time.
Sure.
Okay. And so if we've been whining about it, then this actually the government shutdown is strengthening the expectations for additional Federal Reserve rate cuts. Now,
Okay.
let me just make sure everybody knows this. Federal Reserve rate cuts does not automatically mean mortgage rate cuts.
Right. Right.
Okay.
I get
Right.
that.
Okay. So with so you got markets that are pricing in October. They're able to say, hey, listen, okay, we've got 750,000 furloughs. Lord of mercy, that's terrible. But but at the same time, the the interest rates, if they come down, believe it or not, the lenders have already dropped some of their mortgage interest rates in anticipation of the Federal Reserve dropping theirs.
Because the Federal Reserve rate, as I understand it, is the rate that banks charge each other to borrow money, correct?
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. And then that becomes the money we borrow.
Right. And
Okay.
so the good news is this is making it appear like we might get two more rate cuts.
Okay, good. That's good for that.
Yeah. And so I'm tickled that that's a positive spin to this very uncomfortable period of time.
Hmm.
And I think folks, I just want everybody to know that listen, we are realtors are here to help and uh, and we really do have a heart for the people that we serve.
Hmm.
And Find Homes
Hmm.
Realty is definitely um, uh, obeys the core. The We have our own core values on top of the code of ethics for the NAR.
Hmm.
We really want you to do business with us. We have really good people, and we also like to serve people, and that's huge. A
Hmm.
lot of times you don't get, we're a part of our core values, communication. Goodness sakes, communicate. Wouldn't that be
Well,
something if the government really did that, right?
well, in times of crisis, I mean, that's one of the most important things is knowing what's going on and having information because
Yeah.
lack of information when you know something's going sideways is really
Mhm.
panic inducing.
Oh, it can be. It really can be. And so what's been happening is you figure the labor, like look at the labor market.
Hmm.
Okay? Even with Here's what we know about that, even without Jobs Friday data. Okay. So in 2025, the labor market seems to be softening, but it's not collapsing,
Hmm.
even
Right.
amid the government shutdown.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
So the
it's slowed down. Job growth has slowed down with unemployment around 4%, but the GDP growth remains strong.
so
So
people are
it's
still
actually,
working.
yes, and they're supporting the economic expansion and so forth. So it's not the end of the world. It may feel like it, especially to the ones that are actually in it and they don't know if they're going to get their jobs back. And
Hmm.
that's the hard part. That's the part that we just our heart bleeds for you. Um, at this and, and on the other side of things, um, we really need to think about how we can help you during this period of time. If you're in the middle of a real estate transaction, you're in the right place if you have a professional realtor that is your advocate.
Right.
Let them help you, okay?
Hmm.
You're And quite frankly, if there is a, or let the, if your realtor's not helping you in regards to that sort of thing, um, I don't know, maybe it's time for a change.
Well, but
You
that's
know,
really, I mean, that's the most important thing is because you're in a world where you don't know what's going on. It's thrown so many of
that's
these
right.
variables out, like you mentioned, flood insurance things, those kind of things.
Hmm.
A realtor has been through this, like you said, an experienced one, at least some of those 14 other shutdowns. So they've got
Right.
some,
And,
savvy to what to watch out for.
well, not only that, but you gotta have somebody that's going to remain kind of on the cusp of what's really going on
Hmm.
and can help explain it in layman's terms. And one of the good news things is that Fannie and Freddie have waived some loan requirements during the shutdown.
They have,
Yeah, yeah. And
like,
and just some requirements that would be, like paperwork mumbo jumbo that,
oh, okay, that kind of stuff. Oh,
yeah,
I see
yeah,
what you mean.
because what they do is they actually show, when they say, "Oh, well, I need to have Fannie and Freddie guidelines, and this is what we're going to do." Why do they need those guidelines? Because they want to sell their loan on Wall Street.
Sure, yeah. And
You know,
so they need to know that it's all buttoned up.
that's right. And so now so during the shutdown, they're waiving some of those stipulations, which is actually really good. The other thing is if you can get a mortgage lender, which there's been a few of them on this show with us,
Hmm.
and you can get that mortgage lender to come up with something clever, because maybe maybe they have a portfolio loan that might be able to help you.
Interesting. And that's one of
Mhm.
those sort of it's a security, that people invest in people being able to get mortgages.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. And so what they do is those portfolio loans are the loans that are kind of in-house.
Hmm.
So they don't have to, meet all the golly Ned, lots of red tape stuff that Fannie and Freddie require.
This is true. This is true. And having those products available is important, but a realtor would know who and where to find them and who and where
Mhm.
are ethical people to find them from.
That's right. And you know what? Don't be married to your loan officer if they can't find a solution. Because if you're working, if a lot of loan officers, um, unless they have a portfolio loan,
Hmm.
a bank typically doesn't have the wide variety that a mortgage broker does
Okay.
of loan products. So that's something to think about. And I think that the interest rates, back to that a bit, the bond market, for example, um, oftentimes reacts negatively and kind of a little bit uncertain,
Okay.
but it's gone the opposite way with interest rates. Like we're going to reduce the interest rates uh, again. That's the good news.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I think that's actually a good idea, to have interest rates drop while the shutdown's going on so that the economy comes back like that.
That'd be a
You
good
know,
thing. Yeah.
I think it would be a fantastic thing. But just be careful when you're dealing with somebody, uh, or anybody, whether it's your loan officer or your uh, your your home inspector or and so forth. It's everybody. You need to find a good fit. If you don't
Or
find a good fit, then and it doesn't have to be your neighbor, dude. You know, uh, you got to be able to say, yes, I am a professional, and I know all the better ones to deal with out there.
right. Right, because there are opportunities, but I
Hmm.
think there's also going to be unscrupulous people out there trying to take advantage of
Yeah,
tumult like this. So you need to know who you
absolutely.
know.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. And I know we don't have but a minute or so left. Did you have any other questions or anything?
No, I mean, I'm just glad that, I don't have to file my FCC paperwork right now. So
Yes,
but that's about it.
that's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
We
But
can't go up in power just because nobody's watching, but
yeah, true that. Yes, true that. I will tell you one of our sayings here is to to our agents is be remarkable. You know,
Mhm.
don't just be basic. Be remarkable.
Yeah, that's a
You
great
know,
way to, it's a great word too.
yes, and that's what I would encourage if there's any agents listening at this point, give me a holler. Go on my website. You can go to hash@findhomesusa.com, and also go to findhomesrealty.com/podcast and listen to all of our uh, great shows with Joe
Mhm.
and I.
Well, thank you, Cynthia, and thank you for all this insight here on the radio Saturday mornings. Now go off and enjoy a Saturday afternoon, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.
Thank you much.